The biggest myth about sprint planning is that team members need to create a sprint backlog that contains every single task they'll perform during the sprint. This is both untrue and undesirable. You don't want a team to identify every last task they'll perform during the sprint. First, it's impossible. It doesn't matter how smart team members are or how much time they spend thinking about their work, they'll overlook some tasks, or something will emerge during the sprint. Instead of trying to think of every task, I encourage teams to think of the big tasks and the obvious tasks. You want the team to think of the big tasks because these are the tasks that will determine if a specific product backlog item will fit in the sprint. And you want team members to think of the obvious ones because, well, why not? They're obvious. So you might as well add them to the sprint backlog. What you don't want to do is have the team then spend another 15 minutes thinking hard about what else there may be to do. Instead, acknowledge that some tasks will be discovered during the sprint and be comforted by the fact that they probably won't be the big tasks. One thing you can do to assist a team with this is to look for patterns in the type of work the team does. Nearly all teams will have some type of work that will be performed multiple times. For example, a software team I worked with discovered that most of their product backlog items had a task for coding the user interface, another for coding the back end, one for creating the test plan, another task for automating the tests, and finally tasks for executing the tests, fixing any bugs, and rerunning the test to confirm that everything had been fixed. That team was able to apply this pattern over and over. Occasionally, a task could be left out or another was needed, but this task list served as a good starting point for an immense number of their product backlog items. Using just this pattern helped them think of the majority of the work that would be needed on any product backlog item. Sure, they might have overlooked tasks, some of which they could have identified if they'd spent an additional 15 minutes thinking, but coming up with those extra tasks would not have been worth the bloated meetings. When cutting corners, though, it is essential that the team not plan the sprint overly full. After all, if you know you haven't thought of everything because you didn't try to, and because doing so would be impossible, you need to leave room for those tasks to be added to the sprint once they're discovered. Some managers looking at the team from outside may take issue with this. They see a sprint that appears to be lightly filled and think team members are taking it easy. The Scrum Master will need to explain to these managers that the team is instead using their time responsibly. Team members saved time in sprint planning by not pursuing the impossible goal of thinking of every task and are now embracing the certainty that unidentified tasks will be uncovered. It is more efficient for the team to accept that than try to eliminate uncertainty by attempting to think of everything. The sprint backlog is meant to emerge during the sprint. During the planning meeting, team members think of all the big and obvious tasks. Their goal is to select the right work for the sprint and to understand that work well enough to be confident they can complete it. But as the sprint progresses, team members' understanding of the selected work improves. That means some new tasks will be added to the sprint backlog, and some tasks may be removed or their estimates could change. The sprint backlog is a tool for the team to use to think about and organize their work. Don't fall for the myth. Good Agile teams allow tasks to emerge rather than trying to think of everything up front.